I don't want to play the audio from that video that you guys just watched, but I do want to say this. Parents, I know it's summer. A lot of our kids, they're out on break. They want to be outside. Please make sure you're watching them. These people are snatching these kids up in broad daylight. 7-year-old Jamal White riding his bicycle, taken at gunpoint. Never let these kids that young. You should always be standing somewhere watching. Your eyes are always on them. Never let them out of your sight. I'm seeing an increase in stories like this. I don't care if you trust the neighborhood. There's always someone lurking and watching and plotting, just waiting for you to get lazy and be on your couch on the phone, and then they come and do something horrific. I wanted to get that out the way. I was like crying this morning because that video was hard to listen to. I was not expecting, when I clicked on it, I was like, oh my God, you could literally hear that child in the background. It was very hard to listen to. So yeah, I'm praying for a miracle, but please, y'all, watch your kids. So let me get into the message. Now, I feel like this is a part 2 to the Her Story Keeps Changing video. I don't know, but I will link that video in the comments if you care to watch. Now, I had a very interesting dream the other night, and I speak a lot, in my videos about taking our power back, reclaiming your peace, not allowing the enemy access in. And in this dream, I was witnessing a very toxic environment similar to the other video I just put out. And it was surrounding a man and a woman who I believe in the dream was his partner. Now, other people were standing around in this home. Listen, too many people, too many doors open in a home, in your business, means unguarded access. The people around them were bleeding their peace dry and inviting spiritual contamination. Now, I was witnessing the chaos around these people. Something I noticed around the man was the energy of defeat. He was tired, ready to give up. And the woman he was with, she went from crying to complaining to breaking down every chance she got. And I remember walking over to the man and looking at his eyes. His eyes were darkened. I'm talking the color around the eyes looked very scary. I remember touching his eyes. I remember touching them very gently, and they started to transform. Now, I knew that was the Holy Spirit using, through me, from my hands to the guy. I knew that was the Holy Spirit trying to bring this young man back to life. Because in the dream, his eyes, like I said, they went from dark to like a very light green, very beautiful. He started smiling. His whole body literally was lighting up. It was very beautiful to witness. The Lord reveals things to us, not to condemn, but to equip us for protection and strategic movement. This dream can be for anybody, right now. It does not have to be for a man, your life situation, but the message is very clear. Your environment right now is not a healthy environment, and the light that you once walked in is starting to dim, even is probably feeling eclipsed because of the people around you. The man in the dream, he needed to remove himself to establish boundaries, to actively disengage from the very sources that were draining his life force. My touch and the immediate transformation of his eyes, that symbolized far more than physical sight. It represented a reawakening of spiritual discernment and clarity. It was as if he was able to see life again, not through the lens of despair, but through the vibrant eyes of hope and divine possibility. He needed to trust where the Lord was trying to move him, not to harm him, but to protect him, to lead him into a space of restoration and peace. I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened in order that you may know the hope to which he has called you, the riches of his glorious inheritance in his holy people. Now, the man's weariness And the woman's breakdown were symptoms of just spiritual attacks aimed at exhaustion. The enemy thrives in chaos and despair, seeking to dim our light until we are too tired to fight, too broken to believe. He wants us to feel alone and defeated, making us vulnerable to his lies. But God, God reveals this so we can understand, the tactics and counter it with his strength. Now, when I receive messages like this in great detail, I know many will benefit from it. The Lord is asking someone right now, you got to trust. You have to trust. Someone listening right now, you have too many people in your spiritual home, your emotional space, your daily life. Your eyes, they feel like they're dimming, your energy depleting, your peace being stolen by the people around you, maybe your partner, family member, friends, I don't know. But the Lord is revealing this truth to you now, not to condemn, but to empower. He is calling you to examine your environment and identify those spiritual leaks and take action. Don't just sit there. You've got to fight back, get your power back. Like I said, that dream was very detailed. God is ready to come in and bring that light back into your world. He's asking you, will you trust him? Will you let him in? Let him into the driver's seat. So I did not mean to make this long, but hey, it's okay. I love you guys. I don't care what you had to grow up hearing. I know a lot of us, went through a lot growing up, and, I don't care what your mama said, what your daddy said, what your partner said, and you believed it. You are not weak. You are not unlovable. Don't believe that whole nobody will want you if you leave them. God is waiting on you to make that move so he can release what he's trying to give you. You are stronger than you realize, and the enemy is actually afraid of you waking up to that. That's why he attacks us so hard and disturbs our peace and send the right people around to disturb our peace. So you have no idea just how powerful you are. And I'm very proud of you. If you made it to the end of this video, I love you. I love you. Be safe this weekend. No drinking and driving. I'm about to make some stuffed mushrooms for dinner. I got all my errands ran. Now I'm doing house chores. My day seems like it never ends. I'm always doing something. Scrubbing bathrooms, washing clothes, folding clothes. It's just like, by the time I sit on my bed, it's just like, oh my gosh, I just want to fall out and go to sleep. But anyway, I love you guys. Take care.